Hello everyone. How are you doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening for some of you. Or good night before I forget. But for this week, we are going to talk about the one of the most frequently asked questions, and that is what happens after a stroke, like now what, right? Another question I had on mind was like what to expect, right, after a stroke. So these are different ways to ask the same question, right? And I want to acknowledge as well the variety of language or words we can use to ask ourselves what next, right? What is happening after, or what happens after a stroke? So before we dive in, I would love to mention that all material or content in this platform, in this channel, are for educational purposes. Always is recommended or suggested, right, to talk with your providers before making any changes if you are working around a specific area in your health. Okay, very important to mention that, and the purpose or objectives for these videos as well. So, um, often we see this question, right? Like, what to expect? What is going to happen now? So, usually, few things to consider, right? It is very important to be aware of. Awareness is very essential in the journey, but also it is something very important to mention, to one, be open and consider the scenario, the specifics, right? It's very important as well. So even though there are generics or things that could be categorized, like we see it often, or this happen and most of the people, right, in average, or things in general. One of the things I want to invite you is to be open, be curious about the specifics as well, considering the specifics. And here is what we may cover as well. So one of the things is like what happened, right? We need to consider the type of the stroke, the resources, the area, and the plans, right? The goals with your providers. Very important. Few things to consider. I know that there are more, but when it comes to considering the specifics, I just mentioned a few. But one of the things that we see often after a stroke happens is that inpatient support, where depending of the goals or the things that providers wants to work on, we may see an integration of other resources. Just to mention a few: physical therapy, for example, occupational therapy, psychological therapy. We are seeing cognitive therapy as well, right? So these provide professionals we may see them, we may work together with them, again considering the specifics, and then you can see like more often, oh, this is why, right, I am receiving this, and so on. So we have those in what we can say like inpatient. Nowadays we are seeing, depending of the situation on the specifics, some home in-home support as well. So this is very important to be open and considering those specifics. Make sense? So few examples. So we have first the in what we are, to put it in one thing, right? Or to simplify, the inpatient support. Okay, after we have that, and we also could explore these other alternatives, such as in-home support as well. We also other things to expect moving forward, right? One of the things we reinforce as coaches is that we are looking, or we are focused, right, on keeping moving forward. We are like helping people keep growing that forward. So other things in that progress or process, we may see what is the outpatient support, right? So again, tailoring and considering the specifics, we may be going to therapy or these resources that are provided via appointments, right? Maybe specific days during the week and so on. Okay. And so one of the things I would love to keep reinforcing is considering being open about your specific needs and plans with your providers, right? Other things too that I found myself reinforcing a lot when it comes to answering this question or supporting others as well is like to motivate, to be open and curious, like asking questions, considering those specifics, and for caregivers and survivors as well, like getting curious when we interact with our providers. Okay, something as well to take in consideration, other things to take in consideration in the process of this inpatient, outpatient, or home support is also create awareness of the support from the resources you're working on. If that is to mention insurance, for example, what resources are provided? So the same curiosity or those asking questions is something as well to motivate and reinforce this education of after what to expect after a stroke. Make sense? These are generic things. Again, be open is important in the process, as well considering the specifics. Okay. If you want to talk about more any other topics, or maybe topics that relate with the question what to expect after a stroke, I want to invite you to go to the link below in the description and let's schedule a time together. I know that this is a huge, and we can expand and expand depending of your goals or the things you are working on, the things you are looking as well. But again, part of education, we are also trying to keep these videos as short as possible as well. But just as recap, let's recap. I found it very useful for viewers when we are talking a few minutes. So today we talk about what to expect after a stroke. We focus more on the generics, right? But also reinforcing that curiosity, reinforcing that considering the specifics in your scenario, in your goals, is very important as well in the process after a stroke. To mention a few resources that we cover today, that inpatient support goals as well. Then when we progress or move to outpatient, nowadays we are seeing as well the home support as well, depending of providers or resources you are working on. And later, like moving forward, depending of the goals, we may see people also pursuing other equipments, if that is more to focus on the physical aspect, as we were talking about last week. So a few things that we see often. Again, very important considering those details as well. But with that being said, I hope you all have a great day, a great week. And before I go, if you have any questions, we have two ways to communicate through this platform. Number one, the comments. I always invite people to comment if you have any questions. Sometimes we are watching a video and a new idea come, or something that could benefit other person or support. It is a way that we can contribute to the community and help each other. So comments, number one, and I am trying to add different links or support or resources below this video in the description. Feel free to watch them, to click to see maybe if that is something that you are interested to know about, or maybe to connect, if that is booking an appointment, or if that is like, I know someone who may benefit from it. Let me talk about this, or let me share that link. Okay, few things to reinforce about the resources or way to communicate we have in this platform. But with that being said, I hope you all have a great day, great week, and I hope to see you on Thursday in the Spanish video. Bye bye.